All right, beauties and bees, who is ready for some strange science this evening? Thank you so much for joining us in the hive, and let's get right into it because I got a really weird one from IFL Science for you today. Stoned worms get the munchies just like humans. So we share a similar response to marijuana and cannabinoids as our earthworm invertebrate cousins. Let's read on. Giving cannabinoids to nematodes cause the... Oh, I thought this was going to be earthworms because of the picture. Giving cannabinoids to nematodes caused the tiny invertebrates to go on a wild feeding splurge, just like people do when they've had a few puffs on a joint. And like humans with the munchies, the miniature worms tend to binge only on the tastiest snacks when they are stoned. Cannabinoids make nematodes hungrier for their favorite foods and less hungry for their non-favorite foods, explained study author Sean Lockery in his statement. Thus, the effects of cannabinoids on nematodes parallels the effects of marijuana on the human appetite. The study's authors exposed the worms to a cannabinoid called anandamide, which is produced naturally within the human body and binds to the same receptors as THC. The main psychoactive component of cannabis, rather than raiding the kitchen for high-calorie snacks, the creatures significantly increased their consumption of superior bacteria strains while simultaneously shunning inferior food sources. And yeah, we got a little video here you guys want to watch? Let's watch it. Oh, rewatch it without my mouse hanging over it, blocking half of it. There we go. Yep, just a real short video, but that breaks that down. Okay. Speaking to IFL Science, Lockery revealed that these findings came as a massive surprise coupled with joy because it helps us understand our place in the universe, or at least the animal universe. We're not so different in some profound respect from these tiny creatures. Of course, nematodes and humans are extremely dissimilar in most other regards, which is unsurprising given that the evolutionary paths taken by the two species parted way over 500 million years ago. That being the case, Lockery remarked that it is truly remarkable that the effect of the cannabinoid on appetite are preserved through this length of evolutionary time. Cannabinoids signaling is in fact present in most animals, although the function of these molecules and their mechanisms of action may vary significantly from one species to another. In humans, anandamide and THC both bind to the so-called cannabinoid 1 CB1 receptor, and the researchers found that worm munchies are mediated by the nematode-specific cannabinoid receptor called NPR19. So a little bit different there. However, when the study author repeated the experiment using worms that had been genetically altered to express human CB1 receptors, they got the exact same result. This confirms the similarities between the mechanisms underlying appetite changes following cannabinoid exposures in humans and nematodes. This is important because cannabinoid system is believed to have incredibly therapeutic potential because it is essentially all tissue in our body, says Lockery. It affects appetite, but it also affects mood. The fact that human cannabinoid receptor gene is functional in C. elegans food choices experiment sets the stage for rapid, inexpensive screening for drugs that target a wide variety of proteins involved in cannabinoid signaling and metabolism. This with profound implications for human health, he adds. In the case of the worms, the activation of the cannabinoid receptors was found to alter the sensitivity to food, detecting olfactory neurons, ultimately causing certain foods to smell more appealing, while others became less attractive. While this mirrors the reported subjective effects of THC in people with the munchies, it is not yet clear if cannabis changes the function of human olfactory neurons in the same way. Lockery therefore insists that there is still room for further research in order to solve some of the remaining riddles surrounding cannabinoids signaling in both humans and worms. His lab is also in discussion about testing psychedelic drugs such as psilocybin on nematodes. Perhaps we can find a new set of similarities between humans and worms. Now, in the case of drugs that alter perception and psychological well-being, he said. The study was published in Current Biology. So that is some wild, strange science we have here, and it's fascinating. I always like learning about new research from cannabinoids because I have been on the cannabinoid train for most of my adult life in support of it pushing out some of the opioid epidemic BS that we're dealing with even to this day. So that was some strange science with stoned worms getting the munchies and what it may mean for human psychology.
Still hungry.